Hello and welcome to another Pop Candy podcast. I'm Whitney Matheson and I write the blog at popcandy.usatoday.com, and I am very pumped this week because we have a great topic, which is readers and listeners' 15 minutes of fame. It's something I'm always interested in, to hear about people's brief moments in the spotlight, and today we are going to hear from 5 people who have very different stories, but they are all equally entertaining. And the first one I'm going to share is from a fellow named Jerry Jantz. He's from Pittsburgh, and his story takes place in 2005, just before Super Bowl XL, and it involves whistling, and I guess that is all I should reveal. So here's Jerry with his story.
I have a friend of mine who writes music for commercials and independent films and things like that, and he knows that I like to whistle, and anytime he needs like whistling done on commercials and things like that, he'll give me a call. And usually they're like local commercials, around Pittsburgh. And so he called me and he said he had a commercial for me and wanted to know if I wanted to whistle on it. I said sure. I went over to his studio, and that's when he told me that it was a commercial that was going to air on the Super Bowl.
Oh my gosh.
And then he said the whole commercial is going to be pretty much just music and whistling is going to kind of be the lead instrument. So it was like I was going to be kind of, the main sound of the entire commercial is going to be my whistling.
Yeah, you would be the star.
Right, but nobody would know.
So what kind of commercial was it?
It was for a cleaning product, I think, and it's a commercial that I've never seen. I saw it during the commercial. I've never seen it since.
So was this like a local commercial, or was it?
No, it was a national commercial. It was on the, I think, every year they have a website of Super Bowl commercials, and it was on that website too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was a national commercial.
Oh my gosh, so this was huge.
Yeah.
So he told you this before you actually did the whistling?
Yeah, well, he kind of told me while I went over there. He didn't, when he asked me if I wanted to whistle on it, he didn't. He just told me it was a commercial. And then when I went over there, that's when he told me it was going to be a Super Bowl commercial. And then he said he was kind of actually a little bit jealous.
So that puts on some pressure when you start to whistle.
It did. I had to make sure I nailed it.
What kind of a whistling job was it? What did you have to whistle?
It was just something that he had written. He wrote a piece of music, and then he had a melody that he kind of just told me, kind of played it on a keyboard and said that he wanted me to whistle that. And he did it in sections. It took a few hours, I think, for a 30-second commercial.
So did you tell everybody that you knew to watch
I
during
did.
the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I told everybody at work, and I told all my friends, but I mean those are the only people that know, that I was even on there, which is kind of frustrating, I guess. And
was that the only time that it aired?
I don't know if it's the only time that it aired, but it's the only time I've ever seen it, and everybody that I know says that that's the only time they've ever seen. Sorry, that's my line. That's the only time they've ever seen that commercial.
So have you done any whistling since then?
I've done. There was a CD that he produced for somebody that I whistled on a song. It's like an alternative country CD, I think, but I think it was a local CD that got produced. That I whistled on a song for them, and I think on a couple more local commercials I've done work for him too, but nothing on the scale of the Super Bowl one.
Wow, you really are a professional whistler.
I know. I guess I should put that on my income tax return next time.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
And what is your day job?
Computer programmer.
So that's quite a departure.
It is, although I whistle at work, much to the chagrin of my coworkers.
Can you remember any of the tune that you whistled in that commercial?
It's burned into my head.
Could you whistle it for me?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. 30 seconds, but that's the main melody of it.
That's excellent.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I can't recall it, but I may have seen it. I don't know.
Well, like I said, there's I think I sent you the link on my website. If you actually wanted to watch the commercial, you could.
Yeah, I'll check it out. So yeah, like Jerry just said, I will link to Jerry's website where you can watch the full Super Bowl commercial at my blog, popcandy.usatoday.com. Next up, we have a story from Charles Valentino, who lives in Columbus, Ohio. And he has a story I think a lot of people can sympathize with because, well, millions of people saw what happened. He was featured on American Idol in an unfavorable way last season. And I think he came out of it okay. He sounds good. And here is how it all went down.
Well, it was last year's season, the auditions for American Idol that aired in 2006. And I went to the Chicago auditions in Soldier Field Stadium. About 20,000 people showed up. And I was one of the lucky few, about 100 or so, that actually made it to the celebrity judges after going through the several levels of producers that you have to audition in front of first. And it was a real thrilling experience. I ended up seeing clips of myself aired on TV, but the problem was it wasn't exactly how I'd planned it. Of course, I suppose it never is. But I consider myself an accomplished vocalist, and I went in there feeling very confident about my abilities, and I feel like I performed very well. And when they actually aired clips of me on the show, they didn't actually show my audition, but they showed a song performance that they had made us all memorize the words to, which was Lady Marmalade. And they showed clips of me singing that during the montage of the season premiere. And the problem was that they overlaid my clip with about 4 other people. So we were all singing at the same time and in different keys, and some people better singers than others, and it basically sounded like a big garbled mess. So for the weeks following, I had lots of people following the premiere going, "What were you thinking?"
But that wasn't your audition. That was something else that they made you do?
Yeah. During the second round of auditions, before you actually make it to the celebrity judges, Simon, Paul, and Randy, you actually sing in front of the executive producer, and they have it all on tape. And they make you memorize the words to a song of their choice, and you have to perform it in front of them for their montage. And they kind of make it look like during the episodes that they show those montages, like you basically went in there, it was your idea to sing that song, which isn't the case at all. I don't think any guy really wanted to be singing Lady Marmalade up there in front of the camera, but we all had to, so definitely was an interesting setup.
So what is a moment like that, like being seen on American Idol in an unfavorable way? What does that do to your musical ambitions?
Well, to my musical ambitions, it doesn't slow me down any. I mean, a lot of people, they kind of recognize what had gone on. Some of the people who had already, heard from me what I'd gone through. And a lot of people, the actual moments of seeing me were so brief, most people wouldn't, remember something like that too clearly. So I don't think it's going to mar my future trying to, get involved with any other musical pursuits with a band or something like that.
Yeah. And do you still watch American Idol?
I do. I haven't been watching this season because the job that I currently hold kind of prohibits me. I work in the evening, so, and I haven't really been taping it. But yeah, I do watch. I pretty much, out of the last 6 seasons, I've watched 4 of them completely, start to finish. So, and I'll probably try out again next year.
Oh, well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
If you'll consider trying out again, I'm kind of surprised to hear that.
Well, yeah, I suppose. I mean, ultimately it was a lot of fun. It was a great memory. I mean, yeah, I felt a little bothered by how they manipulated the footage, but at the same time, it was a real exciting experience. Had a lot of fun doing it. And you never know. Maybe I'll actually get a little further this time. It was an accomplishment in and of itself just to make it as far as I did. So few people did. And so I consider that, a pretty triumphant moment as far as, being put up against 20,000 other people making it that far. So for me, that was a great encouragement.
Every little thing she does is magic. Everything she do just turns me on. And even though my life before was tragic, now I know my love for her goes on. Every little thing she does is magic. Everything she do just turns me on. And even though my life before was tragic, now I know my love for her goes on. Come on, Petunia, you thought in your head it would all be so easy if you could be led to the cave where I hide you in linens and frames, and in new combinations I've made of our names. It's a tiny hole, yeah, but you'd fit if I sliced you up a little bitty. I'd sliver and splice you, and then you'd be many, and I'd be the one who is privy to love you and show you the fun she does is magic. Everything she do just turns me on. And even though my life before was tragic, now I know my love for her goes on. Jamie stood on the stoop and he challenged his homies to go get some girlfriends and locate their yonis. The waters are parting and time's getting heated. The boys needed friendship, the beat needed. Her dress was a ship at sail. Her knees were the water pail. This was survival and she was the kid. You could die of thirst if the girls won't give you sips. She does is magic. Everything she do just turns me on. And even though my life before was tragic, now I know my love for her goes on. I resolved to call her up 1,000 times a day. I thought I'd ask her if she'd marry me in some old-fashioned way. Well, but my silent fears persisted, and before I reached the phone, like before my tongue has twisted, must I always be alone? You're all Jenny and Lindsay and fine, and I'm underwater, I'm shedding my mind, and I'm pretty sure, baby, if you'd hold my head, I could live like I've wished for and undo my dread, 'cause I see candygrams up in the ceiling tiles, woody postcards sent off from the sandwich aisles. In these towns where vacations will lead us, I'll hold out my treasures and their wealth will feed us. But oh, she does as she wishes, and no, she won't be your missus. The kingdom it widens, and you're there alone with all that love and the void on your throne. Every little thing she does is magic. Everything she do just turns me on. And even though my life before was tragic, now I know my love for her goes on. Every little thing she does is magic. Everything she do just turns me on. And even though my life before was tragic, now I know my love for her goes on.
That song you just heard was from a band called The Blow. I've played them on a podcast before. They have yet another new album coming out April 24th called Poor Aim, Love Songs, and that track was called Come On Petunia. It's an interpretation of the Police's Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. And if you like cover songs, you should look in the Pop Candy archives because we had an awesome discussion of the best cover songs ever last week. Okay, so back to these 15 minutes of fame stories. Now, this one comes from Chris Mackar, who lives in Painesville, Ohio, and it's one of my favorite ones, and it's really unlike any other submission I got from readers. And I put out a call, and I heard from a bunch of people who talked about winning contests and the attention that they received and how they were in the paper and what they had to do to win the contest, but nobody's story really matched up to the one that Chris told. And he told it even better on the phone than he did in email. And his email that he sent to me was fairly long and detailed. And yeah, on the phone, it was even more incredible. So I guess all I'm going to do to introduce it is say that it involves dog food and tickets to a football game, and I'll just let it roll. Here you go.
I had heard on the radio they had this big dog food eating contest, and this was years ago, back when the Browns had a playoff contending football team, and they were in the playoffs, and the game was sold out. So these guys on the radio had 2 tickets to see them in Pittsburgh in the playoffs. So, and there was couldn't get the tickets anywhere, and if you wanted them, they were like $1,000 a piece. But I just made kind of a pact with myself. I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to win this, because I am not going home with a stomach full of dog food.
So
and
the object
nothing.
was like the person who ate the most dog food would win the tickets?
Well, they had it was a bowl of dog food, like Purina dog chow, and they filled it to the top, like a dog bowl, and whoever finished it first was the winner.
Oh, gosh.
So what I tried to do, I had a little bit of strategy to try, is the other people were excited to be there too, because it was broadcast live on a radio station in Cleveland. So they would walk around and interview the people while they were eating, and those guys would stop and talk to them. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm just ignored them and not waste any time, because I thought if I win this, then I'll talk to them. So that saved a lot of time. And also I had a technique I was using where it was really dry, and it was hard to. It was like really bad Captain Crunch. It was like. It was so bad, so I'm chewing it up, and it's just not swallowing it very good. So what I decided to do is just spit it back up and pour water on it, and I made this really horrible paste out of it. Oh. And I would just take clumps of it and start swallowing it. And the guy next to me sees me just keep regurgitating this stuff, so he gets sick and threw up all over my shoe. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose this, because as soon as I smell the vomit, I'm going to throw up and I'm going to lose. So then, the smell hit me. I gagged hard about 3 times, and I was like, this is it, and just kept eating and didn't throw up, and ended up winning the contest. So it was real exciting, because as soon as I won it, I mean, they had the media, every news crew in Cleveland was there and came up, and with the cameras in there, all the microphones in my face, and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. So, and I'd seen all these people on TV, so I was real excited to, to talk to them. And they were very polite, and because I'm a total nobody, just somebody off the street, and they're like, Mr. Mackar, can we get an interview with you? And I was like, well, of course, this no problem. So I interviewed with them for about an hour afterwards, and just told jokes and fooled around on the air. And so anytime they're like, well, what do you want to do with the tickets? And I go, well, I want to take the weather lady out to the game and take her to McDonald's and stuff. And so I would just hit on anchor women and stuff like that, and they thought that was funny. So, but what was fun about it was he had, I thought that was it with it, But we watched it on the news and just kept getting phone calls all night about it, and that was kind of neat. And the people I'd not heard from in years, like, I saw you on TV, and that was pretty cool. And but walk around the mall, get noticed, and people, oh, you're the dog food guy. It's like, yeah, I'm the dog food guy. And so for about a year, I was the dog food guy around my neighborhood. And they had probably my favorite sighting that they had was this guy was driving down the street, screeched on his brakes, went in reverse, rolled his window down, and he goes, way to go, dog chow boy. And and then he just took off, and I was like, well, that's really neat.
And I'm assuming you have not eaten dog food since. Probably you have bad memories every time you see dog food.
Yeah, everybody has their jokes with it. And they're like, oh, I bet your coat's nice and shiny, and I heard that probably about 100 times. So, like I said, I'm no celebrity, but I do understand, like, when, De Niro's walking down the street and they go, hey, you talking to me? And that was my thing. People would like to talk about how shiny my coat was, and I would get that all the time. And was my De Niro moment.
So thanks to Chris for sharing that memorable story. I don't know that I'll ever be able to look at a bowl of dog food or Captain Crunch the same way again. I appreciate it. And the next story I have comes from Kevin Bear in Cincinnati. And how strange is it that 3 out of the 5 people this week are guys from Ohio? There's a lot of 15 Minutes of Fame happening in Ohio, but his story is completely different. It happened when he was 6 years old, and he was cast in a Patrick Swayze movie called Tiger Warsaw. It's a movie that most people have never heard of, let alone seen. But for Kevin, it's a memory he will never forget.
Well, it was being filmed in my hometown of Sharon, Pennsylvania, and my sister, who's about 6 years older than I am, she really wanted to audition, so I kind of got dragged along. And
what we're talking about is a movie called Tiger Warsaw, right?
Tiger Warsaw,
which is the
Patrick
best
Swayze
movie title ever.
Exactly. So we went to audition, and I wasn't even planning on auditioning or anything. I was 6. I was like, we had to wait in like this 3-hour line, and I'm all antsy, like, why are we here? And finally we get inside, and they're auditioning like 5 to 7-year-olds. My mom's like, Kevin, go right now. And I'm like, all right. So I go up there, and I'm pretty sure made a complete fool out of myself. The only thing I remember from the auditions is knocking over someone's like cup of pencils, and I wasn't really taking the thing seriously, and for some reason they actually called me back for a second audition, and then I got it.
And so once you got it, what did that entail?
Well, I was in kindergarten, so I got out. I remember getting out of maybe like a week or 2 of kindergarten, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And then I went and, I was on set. I was in probably about like 5 or 6 scenes, I'd say. And my role was basically Patrick Swayze's girlfriend's son. And he comes back to this Pennsylvania town, and after being away for like 15 years to reconnect with his family, and meets up with my mom, who he had a fling with back in the day, and I formed this attachment to him. And because apparently I just had some friend move to Canada, and I was all sad about that. So, and it was really funny because one of the scenes, I remember I was supposed to be really sad in it, and I didn't know what was going on. So like the first take, I walk out like really happy. They're like, cut. You're supposed to be really sad in this scene. I was like, oh, good to know.
Wow. They really didn't look for any professional child actors for that movie, I guess.
No, not really. Not really at all. And, it was fun, though. I mean, Patrick Swayze was really nice. He always let me watch his dogs and stuff when I was on set but not working, so it was quite amusing. The one thing I do recall is about 3 years ago, I was living out in Arizona, and I got a check from my dad, and he's like, whatever you do, don't cash this. So I opened it up, and it was my a royalty check for 19 cents.
Oh, wow.
It literally cost them more to send that check than the check it was itself. So all my friends go out and buy the movie now, and I think you could buy it for like 99 cents on eBay and stuff, and I'm always like, sweet, chalk up another 1/10 of a cent to my royalties.
Who else was in that movie? Were there any other stars, or was it just Swayze?
There was Piper Laurie was in it, Mary McDonnell.
Oh, that's cool. So
there were a few other ones, and I don't think I got to meet too many of the other ones. But at the time, Patrick Swayze was really the only person in it that I knew who he was, And then I remember watching, Dances with Wolves a few years later and being like, hey, she was in Tiger Warsaw.
You're probably the only person who used Tiger Warsaw as a reference point for Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So was that the only point of your acting career, or did you go on to do anything else?
It actually was the only point, but when that movie came out, the director decided to do another movie in the hometown, and he had actually offered me like a really small role in it, and it ended up colliding with a family vacation at Disney World. And being, 7, 8 years old, I obviously chose Disney World because I didn't want to be in another horrible movie.
As a footnote, Kevin says under no circumstances does he recommend any of you watch Tiger Warsaw, but I did persuade him to send me a photo of him with Patrick Swayze on the set. So I posted that at popcandy.usatoday.com. The final person you're going to hear from this week has probably experienced the most traditional definition of 15 minutes of fame. J. Christopher Arison lives in Decatur, Georgia, and about 7 or 8 years ago, his band was signed to a major label. They recorded an album. They had a hit song that was played on the radio. It was featured in TV shows, on a movie. Everything was going really well, and then it came crashing down. So here is his story of what happened and how he almost tasted huge amounts of fame and what happened when it was taken away. So how would you say your 15 minutes of fame began?
Well, it began with a quest to have, 15 years of fame. I moved to Athens, Georgia, in 1991 with a band, and after many years, we got a record deal. Now, the name of the band was Trinket, and we got a record deal through RCA, and I think it was 1997 or 98, and it was just, a really exciting time. And anyway, we made this album that nobody liked. I mean, just, even people at the label just didn't really like it. We went with a first-time producer, and it just didn't work out. So, after they put the initial version of the album out and we realized it was going to bomb, the label said, hey, we'll give you a chance at redeeming yourself if you record a couple quote-unquote hit songs. And the songs were written by a hit songwriter out of Canada. So these songs were sent to us, and they were so cheesy and bad.
Oh, gosh.
And some of the guys from the band were just mortified. Like, we can't do this. Personally, I was like, I'm going to be 30 in a couple years. I haven't made a cent from this venture. I'm ready to sell out. So there was this one song called Boom, and I'll tell you, the chorus of the song goes like this. She goes, boom, boom, boom. I go crazy, crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, we recorded this song, and it was bewildering, too, because they brought in session musicians to work with the band. So the bald guitar player from the Wallflowers, remember him?
Oh, yeah.
He was brought in to play guitar with me. And then the drummer of Smash Mouth, a guy named Michael Urbano, who also co-produced the session, he played drums. And it was just the most bizarre experience to go through, So, but still, there was this feeling like, this just might work. So we did the song, and when it was finished, it was like, oh my God, this is a big, dopey song. They even put like turntable scratching on it, and so I was like, and the label's, jazzed up, and they're going to re-release the album with a different title. And during this time, I was interning at a video production house here in Atlanta, and there was this guy next door who was interning at the recording studio. And I would just go over and just kind of shoot the breeze with him. And he was, he himself was starting a new career as a musician in town. He was a guitarist and singer. And he would just always, fleece me for information or contacts or stories. And he had his first CD, and I actually brought it up to New York and gave it to everybody at RCA. And it was weird because even though I was going through this weird, surreal time, it felt good to, like, give advice. Hey, keep at it. Things may work out.
Yeah.
And anyway, so after the album, the album was redone, remastered. It had these new songs on it. It was put back out. The name of the album now was Set to Explode.
Oh,
right?
geez.
Right. Something's going to blow up. And we put it out, and it looked like it was going to do really well because the song Boom, it was released to radio. It was the second most added song in the country behind Celine Dion, right?
Wow.
And if you're that close to Celine Dion, things are going well, you assume.
I guess.
I was home and I was charting its success in different markets, and in Chicago it was played nonstop, and we were starting to get flown to different places to play shows. We played a show in New York, and Train opened for us. Even they thought that was weird, and it looked like it was going to happen. But then, right after we picked out video treatments and everything, the label kind of pulled the plug. They're like, we've spent too much money. It's not quite getting the spins we hoped it would. It's not getting played in Atlanta, where we were from. So they just thought that was a sign that it's just not going to work out. And it stunk too, because Hanson had asked for us to open a tour for them, and how amazing would that have been to open for Hanson? It was the post Mbop days, but still, that would have been awesome. So anyway, the song Boom, it wound up being licensed to some television shows. It was on Beverly Hills 90210 and Roswell and so forth. But I didn't really see the shows. I just heard about it. Anyway, cut to 5 years later. I've long since given up being in a band, and I was just working at this terrible bar and restaurant here in Atlanta, and also getting my psychology degree. And it was right before a shift. I'm exhausted from the night before, and I'm watching TV, and I go to the USA channel, and there's a movie called Loser. And Loser is this terrible movie that has Jason Biggs from American Pie in it, and basically I'm watching, and then I realize I can hear myself playing guitar in the movie, and I realize it's our song. And Jason Biggs is studying in a room, he's listening to our song, and then this jerk comes in from the next door and was like, "Hey, why are you listening to that?" And he changed the channel to The Offspring's Pretty Fly for a White Guy, which truly is one of the worst songs ever. And then the guy leaves, and then Jason Biggs puts it back to our song. So it was so weird, wow, I'm listening to myself through a movie on the USA channel. And that was just an amazing experience. But so the coup de grace to the whole story is, the intern who worked next door when I was a video intern, and the guy I would give advice to and who was trying to make it, that guy is John Mayer.
Oh, wow.
Yes, the beautifully haired guitar slinger who wrote the song Why Georgia. He was the intern next door, and I would go over there and we just hang out. And it was funny because, he had this whole shtick, and girls don't really go for me, and blah, blah, blah. And I always thought he was kidding all the time. But he was a really nice guy, and it was funny that he completely made it. He completely took off and everything. All
because of your advice, I'm sure.
I think pretty much under my tutelage, and I took him where he needed to be.
Yes.
And I hope he doesn't forget it. Maybe he'll hear this and realize the debt. But yeah, that's the story. That's my 15 minutes.
Although Chris is no longer performing in bands, he is writing a book, and if you go to Pop Candy, you can find a link to his blog. So that just about does it for this week, but I hope you'll log on to popcandy.usatoday.com to read what other people have to say about their 15 minutes of fame and perhaps post your own. And of course, before we go, you know what song I'm going to play. I'm going to play Boom by Trinket, which Chris just talked about, even though he's not terribly proud of it. I think we all have to hear it, and perhaps you'll remember it. So here we go. It's going to take you out. And thank you so much. I will be back next week. Bye.
She's like Armageddon. She's so nuclear. She got the 4 horsemen, yeah. Right on, baby. Right on now. She takes a fascination to elevation. She's the latest rage and the greatest sensation, and she's everything to me. Yeah, yeah. She goes boom, boom, boom. I go crazy, crazy. She goes boom, boom, boom. She annihilates me. She's apocalyptic, existential too. She quotes the Bhagavad Gita everything to me. Yeah, yeah, she goes boom, boom, boom. I go crazy, crazy. She goes boom, boom, boom. She annihilates me. She annihilates me. She's everything to me. Yeah, yeah, she's everything to me. You know she goes boom, boom, boom. I go crazy, crazy. She goes boom.